Welcome to my channel Line Shape Form. In this video, I'll guide you through using the profile view to draw an upward-looking head from the front. Get ready for essential tips and insights to enhance your skills. I am using the Loomis method for the head. For more information and explanations, check the videos linked in the description box below. Let's begin with the male head from the front view, which I'll use to highlight a few key points. For an explanation of this grid and how to determine head height and map out a proportionate face, check out the Loomis method video I mentioned earlier, linked in the description below. For simplicity, we trim the sides of the sphere with a straight vertical line, while keeping in mind that the head typically has a slightly wider shape at the top. Let's quickly map out the face to ensure it turns out as we envision before adding the details. You can either sketch the nose using simple shapes like these, or create a more detailed version like this. As we know, the ears are positioned between the brow line and the nose line. While it's beneficial to understand the planes of the face and head, for now, remember that you can draw a line from the temple down the side of the eyes and cheekbones to distinguish between the front and side of the face. Now let's examine the head from the profile view, as this will be helpful later. Compared to the front view, the head is wider from the side view. You may have noticed that the grid for the side view measures 7 units wide and 7 units high, while the front view is only 6 units wide. The side view doesn't have to be exactly 7 units wide. It can vary in width based on the height of the nose and the shape of the back of the head. Furthermore, there are differences in the shapes and measurements of the skull influenced by ethnicity, age, and gender. This smaller circle, which I refer to as the side circle, represents the trimmed sides of the sphere, reflecting the flatter shape of the head's sides. As a general guideline, you can set this circle to about 4 units in diameter. If the head is wider, I typically reduce the size of this side circle accordingly. This line indicates the vertical midline of the face. Draw it parallel to this line. Connect the jaw to this intersection point. For a lot of individuals, the most protruding part of the forehead, as well as the mouth and the tip of the chin, may align with this vertical line, though this is not a strict rule. I will demonstrate this further when we discuss the female side view. The ears are typically tilted slightly back compared to the front plane of the face and the vertical midlines of the head. Next, let's take a closer look at the skull. Please note this angle. The base of the cranium does not fully align with the base of our sphere and ends slightly above it. This is important to remember when drawing the back of the head, as it helps you understand where the head ends and the neck begins. Additionally, the cervical spine has a gentle curve, and in a relaxed state, the neck is typically tilted slightly forward. Let me also highlight some of the muscles in the head and neck. The curve at the back of the head that transitions into the neck can vary in appearance based on the shape of the back of the skull and the muscle mass of the neck. The temporalis muscle covers most of the side of the head, and I often think of it as the upper half of the side circle that represents the line separating the head's side plane from the top plane. These muscles enable jaw movements, such as chewing, and extend below the cheekbones, where they connect to the jaw. These neck muscles are crucial when drawing necks. Many beginners tend to draw random lines on the neck simply because they see them in other drawings. However, without understanding where these muscles connect, you might place the lines incorrectly. These muscles connect the sternum, or breastbone, to the base of the skull behind the ears. This area marks the widest part of the skull, which is important to consider when drawing the head at an upward angle especially from the front view. Now, let's say you want to draw the head from the front view at an upward angle, but you don't have any reference. You may be unsure how much to foreshorten the different sections of the face and where to position the chin. There's a method to use the profile view of the head to determine this. First, we need to draw the head from the side view, looking upward at the chosen angle. It doesn't need to be a detailed drawing. Just make sure you know the positions of the hairline, brows, eyes, nose, mouth, chin, and ears. So this would be the hairline, the brow line, the bottom of the nose, and the chin. For some, these guidelines may be sufficient to draw a tilted head from the front view, but let's add a few more details. Be mindful of the eye placement, considering the side walls of the nose. If the person has a higher nose bridge, ensure there is adequate space between the contour of the nose and the eye. Keep in mind that the side circle indicates the flatter side plane of the head. While it's just a guideline and not entirely precise, it helps illustrate where the front plane transitions to the side plane and highlights the bone structure around the eyes. Additionally, remember that the front plane has a slight curve and is not completely flat. Also, remember the underside of the chin, referred to as the submental area. This triangular region sits between the chin and the neck and is visible not only from below, but also in profile view. Great! A quick sketch like this is all we need as a guideline, but I will show you the detailed version. Now we can draw the upward-facing head from the front view, using the information gathered from the profile view. First, let's determine the width of the head. Although I can derive this from the forward-facing head above and the upward-looking head in the profile view to the left, we'll use the scale for educational purposes. But that's it. That's all we need the scale for, as the other markings will shift due to the angle. When drawing the head from this angle, it's important to recognize that the widest part of the head shifts, not physically, but in terms of visibility. In the image above, the widest part of the head is located here, while in the image to the left, it is positioned here. The widest part is significantly lower than in the image above. Now, we need to determine the width of the head at the top of our sphere. Since the head is tilted upward, it's the forehead that is visible at the top, rather than the crown of the head. Visualize where the temple would be from the front view. It doesn't need to be exact. This is an approximate representation of what the top of the head would look like from this angle. Next, we'll refer to the guidelines from our profile view to determine the positions of the brows, eyes, nose, mouth, chin, and ear. Let's start with the brows. Now we want to know where the head or face ends at the bottom, including the submental space below the chin, where the head connects to the neck. Then the ears, the chin, the neck, the bottom and the tip of the nose. Once again, you can use simplified shapes like this, or you can add more details. The upper eyelids. When drawing the eyes, keep in mind that the front plane of the face has a slight curve, and consider the shape of the cheeks as well. Adding a subtle tilt to the upper and lower eyelids will help prevent the face from appearing flat. When drawing the eyebrows, take into account the curve of the forehead. Depending on the shape of the forehead, the eyes, and the curve above the upper eyelid, the shape of the brows can look quite different from the front view. From this angle, the upper and lower lips exhibit a more pronounced upward curve, also allowing for a clearer view of the upper lip. The area above the upper lip also features a pronounced curve, so be sure to consider that when drawing the mouth. This line extending from the cheekbones to the outer edge of the chin separates the front plane from the side plane. Lastly, we have the hairline, which can also appear slightly different from this angle than from the front view. Another key point to remember is that the cheekbones are the widest part of the face, while the bulge at the back of the cranium is the widest part of the head. Let's take a look at the fleshed-out version of this head. If you're not planning to color or shade your drawing, consider adding a few more lines, like this. However, be cautious about which lines you add, as some can create an odd appearance from this angle. Here's my shaded version. Drawing the jawline from an upward angle can be quite challenging, especially for stylized characters like those in anime or manga. It can easily appear odd, but there are techniques to handle it. I'll be creating more tutorials on this topic to show how to approach it with various stylized characters, so stay tuned if you're interested. Now let's move on to the female version. The process is essentially the same, so I'll speed things up a bit and provide just a few additional explanations. Upon closer inspection, you'll notice that the contour of the side of the head is slightly wider than that of the face and extends behind the ear. This is due to the fact that the widest part of the skull is typically located above and behind the ear. Let us quickly compare the male and female head. I maintained a similar head width, but in the male head, the eyebrows and eyes are positioned higher, the nose and ears are slightly larger, the mouth is a bit wider, and the lips are thinner. Additionally, the neck is wider, and the hairline is more angular. If I were to draw these two figures together, I would make the male head slightly larger by using a bigger sphere or circle, maybe around this size. Now let's move on to the female profile view. Eyebrows can vary from this angle based on individual facial structures, such as the height and curve of the forehead and nose, the eye sockets, and the eyes, including the skin between the eyebrows and eyes. I added a larger curve to the female eyebrow to create a flow that connects it to the skin above the eyelid. I'll give her a slightly receding chin to create a softer appearance for the face. Let's add a few more details and quickly compare it to the male version. In addition to the previously mentioned differences in the front view, this male head has greater width, a higher nose, a more angular jawline, and a more prominent chin. Next, we'll explore the upward angled heads. Now let's move on to the final head, the upward angled head from the front view. Of course, you can apply this technique to upward-looking heads at various angles of tilt. Just adjust the tilt on your profile view accordingly. You can also use the same method to draw an upward-looking head from a 3/4 view and beyond. Again, if you're creating a black and white line art drawing, consider adding a few more lines. That's it! Let's do one final comparison with the male head before we conclude this tutorial. While there is some variation in head shape, it closely resembles the female version. Although the jaw widths of both male and female heads are similar from the front view, I chose not to emphasize the female jawline too much from this angle to achieve a softer appearance. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, I'd appreciate a thumbs up or a comment. To stay updated on future uploads, please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching.